Hello NBA fans and welcome back to another video here on the NBA the week that was. Thank you so much for all the love on the last video and for the fact that I'm on 200 subscribers now. I'm actually at 207 to be exact, and I really want to thank you guys for supporting me on this journey. I started this back in my freshman year 2 years ago, and it's almost been, two and a half years of me having this YouTube channel, and I really love making videos for you guys, so thank you so much. Today I'll be talking about the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets have been one of the most polarizing teams in the league, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on them and how far I see them going in this year's season. In a prior video I made with my friend Suyash, I had the Brooklyn Nets winning the NBA championship. My prediction about that may or may not have changed since recent events have conspired, and I might have another team winning the NBA championship this year. But yeah, that's what I'll be talking about today with the Brooklyn Nets, so let's get right into it. So as I said, coming into this season, I thought the Brooklyn Nets had a good chance of winning the ring, and once they acquired James Harden and started showing that all three of Kyrie, KD, and Harden could play well together, I thought this championship was headed Brooklyn's way. They had the three stars. They had solid role players that have been quite underrated this whole year, and I didn't see anyone really stopping all three of Harden, KD, and Kyrie in a playoff series in 7 games. Yes, you might stop them one game, but literally if Harden only drops 15, you can have Kyrie and KD each drop 30 or 40 on your head. So it's literally their team seems unstoppable on paper. However, I really don't think they can win the NBA championship anymore. That's going to be my prediction. I'll let you guys know later on who I believe has the best chance of winning the ring this year, but I don't think it's the Brooklyn Nets. So the main reason behind my change in perspective on the Brooklyn Nets has been the injuries and the overall lack of playing time. I mean, we saw that in February, March, KD has been on and off the court, and Kyrie has been as well with personal reasons, other injuries, and Harden had been consistent. But then Harden got hit with a big hamstring injury that he's been out with for almost a month, and that's been really big. And while it hasn't really tanked the Nets because it's the regular season, if you have even just one of Kyrie, KD, or Harden, and if you have both of them, it's pretty much a done deal. But if you have like 2 of them, it's pretty much a done deal, and 3 of them is a different story. But even with one of them and the role players that the Brooklyn Nets have, which I'll be getting into later, this is a team that can do really well in the regular season. But all of these injuries have really just led to one thing: a lack of playing time with the Harden, Kyrie, and KD together. It really, I think, has become important in the NBA and has always been important that chemistry and team basketball is prioritized over star ball. You will never win an NBA championship with just one guy carrying your team. If that was the case, LeBron would have won in 2018 when he went on that historic run in the playoffs. And there have been so many other occasions where I feel that NBA teams would have won if it was just relying on the stars. But time and time again, the 2004 Detroit Pistons, the 2011 Dallas Mavericks, the Spurs in all their rings, it's all about having the true chemistry and just the overall team. It's a team sport, so you need that team camaraderie and that just a team to win. It can't be one person or 2 people carrying you to a ring. You need your whole team, all in sync, all have that chemistry to win you a championship. Now, the Brooklyn Nets, while it may seem, they have the chemistry, they have that camaraderie. All the guys seem happy to be playing. Kyrie doesn't seem too upset as he's off the ball when Harden's on the court. KD has embraced this role as just a pure scorer rather than like creating as both a playmaker and a scorer. And they all just seem happy. Blake Griffin is back to his best dunking. Like, sorry to the Pistons fans out there. Jaden, I'm talking to you here. You know I'm talking to you. I know it sucks watching Blake Griffin just make these insane dunks. Today against Milwaukee, he had a great putback dunk that he just chose not to do in the Pistons because he knew he was saving his legs for another team. But that's a whole different story. But yeah, Blake Griffin's been great. Jordan, but it's these underrated not as high profile name guys, Landry Shamet, Elise Johnson, Mike James, Joe Harris, all these guys have been stepping it up in the absence of Harden, in the absence of KD, and proving that the Brooklyn Nets aren't just a 3-man team. They have 8 or 9 guys that can solidly contribute night in and night out. And that's really good for the Brooklyn Nets coming into the playoffs. They'll have a solid playoff rotation where they can get scoring from almost each person besides like DeAndre Jordan, who's going to have his offense created for him. However, even though they have the chemistry, even though they have the rotation, they don't have the playing time together. You need in the playoffs your team to be in sync. And because of the only 7 games that KD, Harden, and Kyrie have played together, I think that's the right number. You're just not going to have that playing time. The lack of playing time is going to cause a lack of coordination between the three. I'm guaranteeing it. Playoffs is a whole different ball game. You're going to have your best defenders guarding your best players all the time. You're going to be playing with new players you've never played in true pressure situations. In pressure situations, you need to know who you can trust. You need to know what to do. While obviously these guys are like best friends, you don't know if they have that trust in crunch time in the playoffs. It's game 7. Who gets the ball? You don't know these things unless you consistently play together, consistently be in situations where you're tested. The Brooklyn Nets, whenever Harden, Kyrie, and KD have played together, they really haven't been tested, and that's gonna be brutal for them coming into the playoffs when they come up against teams like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers, who can throw defensive player of the year type guys and Embiid, Simmons, and Antetokounmpo at you consistently, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on the Nets. And I think the inexperience of this core together, obviously they're all NBA champions besides Harden, and I really think that it's like on paper one of the best NBA teams ever assembled, but I just don't see them doing too well in the playoffs because they just don't have that experience together. Therefore, I believe that the Clippers are going to be the champions this year. The Clippers faced a similar dilemma last year. They thought that, just the pure talent alone will get them to the ring. But as we saw in that series against the Nuggets, they didn't know who to trust. They lost trust within themselves. And this was all because Kawhi, Paul George, Morris, all these guys had just not played together as much as they should have. They didn't know if Lou Williams should get the ball at the end, even though he'd been doing that the whole regular season when Paul George and Kawhi had been out. Kawhi obviously would want the ball to take the last shots, and it just put so much pressure on the Clippers that they weren't able to just perform to the best of their abilities as they could have on paper. But now, after a whole 2 seasons of playing together, the Clippers look much better. They still have retained the core members of their roster, including Kawhi, Paul George, Morris, Reggie Jackson's been great. I like Nick Batum on that team. Zubac has been consistent. Rondo has been a great pickup. That was a big win-win trade. Lou Williams has been great for the Hawks. Rondo has been providing that playmaking that they really lacked from the point guard position, because Lou Williams, Reggie Jackson, they're more score-first point guards. Rondo is providing that true playmaking and that veteran experience that's been crucial for this Clippers team as they attempt to make a run to being the first seed in the conference. And I truly think that the Clippers have the best odds of winning this championship, because when they come up against the Nets or the 76ers or the Bucks in the finals, they have the personality. I apologize for this cut in between. My laptop actually ran out of storage as I was recording, and it stopped the recording, so therefore there was this cut. But as I was saying, if they come up against the Nets, if they come up against the Bucks, if they come up against the 76ers, the Clippers have the personnel and the talent to really match up against them, but more importantly, they have that experience playing together. They have that just coordination that I feel that the Nets will lack. Therefore, I believe the Clippers are so well suited to win the championship this year. So in the end, while the Brooklyn Nets on paper look like the most likely to win the NBA championship as a result of the lack of playing time between the big three of Brooklyn, as well as all the new role players that they've added across the year, I really don't think they have the ability to win this championship, because the Clippers are more well suited and more ready to contend, and really they're more of a team. If I had to put it into one sentence, the Clippers are more of a team than the Nets, and therefore the Los Angeles Clippers will win the NBA championship. And with that, I would like to conclude this episode here on the NBA, the week that was. I hope to catch you guys on my next episode, and please subscribe if you haven't. I'm on the road to 300 now that I've hit the 200 mark. So I'll catch you guys on my next video. Thank you.